Abdul Carter at number 1. I feel like we talked to most of those guys at the scouting combine. We had Mike Green.
We talked to everyone except for Ezeraku. Everyone. The other four we did.
It's good. You know why he didn't visit with us? Because you don't know how to say his name. Now that you do, maybe he will.
Maybe he'll come visit. It's a good group, Mike. It's a good group. I mean, all 5 of those guys are starting defensive ends, edge guys in the NFL, like right away. Plus, there's some other guys that are in the group that I would go, they're going to go in the first round too. But let's just start out why I called it like the Carter comment, because Abdul Carter they only come around every few years with a guy like this. He's special to me. When you're that size, that explosive, that physical, right? The bend, everything like that, it's rare. It doesn't happen a whole lot. He's a special guy. That's why we're talking top 3 with a 250-pound edge guy in Abdul Carter.
And it's funny because, and Devin McCourty and I were talking about this yesterday, the Patriots really did get screwed by winning in Week 18 last year. They got screwed.
The Pats and the Giants, yeah.
Yeah, because Abdul Carter ain't going to be there at 4 for the Patriots.
No.
He's not going to be there at 4.
I'm shocked.
Patriots fans can twist themselves into mental pretzels all they want that, well, the Giants have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. Exactly right.
If between Carter and Travis Hunter, they're both going to be gone by the time the Patriots are on the clock at 4.
That's why, the Patriots want Shedeur Sanders to go in one of those 3 picks, but that's not going to happen, at least in my thought or my opinion. And yes, Abdul Carter, if the Giants are at number 3, we know they paid big money for Brian Burns. Kayvon Thibodeau, he's been solid, but has he been worth the number 5 pick? Not really. I mean, they would run. You have a chance to draft Lawrence Taylor or Micah Parsons. That's what you have here in this kid. So I would think there's no doubt. You're right. There's not getting out of the top 3. Would absolutely be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, and think about the history of the Giants. Think about what Lawrence Taylor meant to the team. And here comes the opportunity again. And it was, what was he, 2nd overall pick in 82?
Yeah, 82, I believe. Yeah, it might have been 81.
Out of North Carolina?
Yes,
yeah,
right,
but 2nd overall pick. And another, you don't say no to this.
No.
History has a chance to repeat itself for the Giants. You don't say no to this. So I agree with you. What was the biggest surprise? We all expected Carter to be great. What was the biggest surprise when you started looking at the film?
Well, I think that there's 2 things, right? The 2 guys I don't have on the list here are the Georgia guys a little bit. Now, Mykel Williams, who's 6'5", 260, has really long arms. He's a guy that I understand. He's going to go in the first round. He just wasn't my total cup of tea. I think he dealt with some injuries last year, too, so the film didn't just pop off to you. The Jalen Walker guy, now he's a stand-up linebacker who plays some defensive end, and I would say he's not really great at either one of them, right? That's the one, to me, the draft community is totally off about. When I see people say he's a top 10 pick or a top 12 pick, I just go, I don't see it. And I've talked to enough people in the football to know I'm not alone in that conversation. Definitely not alone. Multiple people I've had conversations with that, just going, am I missing something? There's something I don't see here. So I think those were a little bit of a surprise. But the other surprise is the big freak from Texas A&M. Shamar Stewart is a incredible specimen, and he's an incredible football player. And, Mike, here's going to be the thing. He only had 1 sack or 1.5 sack. It's all about production, right? That's all they're talking about. And my thing is, disruption is production. Pressures the play up there it is, right? And teams have that on their tapes and everything. So would you rather Jalen Walker, who has 6 sacks on the year, and I would tell you that none of them are what we would go, ooh, look how impressive that is. It's either coverage or the quarterback breaks the pocket and then he gets the sack? Or would you rather have Shamar Stewart, who, only had 1 sack, but disrupted probably more plays than any defensive end in all of football, and came around the edge and with pressures were so much legit and NFL-like and real compared to another guy? See, that's going to be the big thing. Who's going to have the guts to take the guy that's effing the play up and have to deal with, wait, he only had 1 sack, how you could take him? And that's what this Shamar Stewart for Texas A&M is going to have to deal with. But he's a Myles Garrett-type specimen, Mike.
Wow. Well, and from the same school. if that would ultimately
exactly
pan out.
He's that kind of guy, man. He really is. And college football's hard sometimes. The NFL is made for guys like Shamar Stewart. First off, he doesn't play real wide. He kind of plays head up on the tackle a lot. So he doesn't get a chance to just go wide, let me go get the quarterback, okay? So that's not putting him in a position to succeed. Because he's so awesome and a freak of nature, they ask him to play. He plays nose tackle in the game a handful of snaps every time because he's a freak of nature and he can do it to get other good players on the field. So he gets to play out of position. And then as college football, as you know, you could have a quarterback that throws the ball 30 times and he threw 12 screens, he threw another 10, just looked at a guy real quick, and then he had another dropbacks where he looked at one guy and then he ran and scrambled. And you could go through a game as a defensive end in college football and go, well, he really only had about 5 opportunities to actually, like a quarterback went through the reads in the pocket the whole game to get a sack. And that's where I think sometimes people got to remember those aspects of this conversation as well.
How many edge rushers do you think go in round one?
I would set it at 6 as the over and under. And I think I would go over, right? I think that the 5 I have on this list, Ezeraku is probably the only guy that's on the cusp of late first, early second. Michael Williams from Georgia will go in the first round. There's no doubt about that. So 5 for sure. And then Jalen Walker, by all due accounts, the guy that I'm not so sure about, right? I think he's definitely going to go in the first round from what I hear from everybody. So, yeah, I would say there's a chance 7 go, but I think when it's all said and done, I would say 6 is what happens here.
Every 4 or 5 years, we get a reminder of the importance of having great edge rushers in the Super Bowl. You know, it might not get you there. You need more around a great pass rush to get there. But, man, when you get there, you can wreak havoc and shut down a great offense. So which contender needs to add one of these guys the most?
Ooh. The Chargers are a team that certainly could use it right now. No more Joey Bosa there. Khalil Mack's coming towards the end of his career. Baltimore is definitely a team that, again, they're not desperate for it, but they could use a pass rusher, an elite guy to where they don't have to blitz or pressure and do stuff like that and can play zone. The Detroit Lions would probably be a team I would throw in that conversation. They've been looking for that guy opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, plus he's coming off a pretty serious injury. I would look at him. And I think Washington would be another team that I would throw in that conversation. Washington, there was a reason they were in the Myles Garrett trade combo at the early part of the offseason. So those are a few just contenders right off the top of my head there, Mike. And you tell me if there's anybody else you think I'm missing. But those ones jump out to me more than the rest, maybe.
Hey, the first team I thought it was the 49ers, but they aren't contenders right now.
Exactly.
We're so used to them being contenders. We got to take them off that list.
Right.
Until they prove otherwise, they're off the list.
Yeah, I mean, your Vikings, you're stacked at pass rusher. You don't need anything there. The Rams are in a good spot. The Bucs are in a good spot. The Eagles are one of those teams you just talked about. You get them into the Super Bowl with a good front four, and they can win the game by themselves, and they almost did that. So they're not in desperate need there. On the AFC side, Houston, Pittsburgh, they're set up. Buffalo, they got Joey Bosa now and Gregory Rousseau. I don't think they're going to do that or go that way. But, yeah, I think we've hit the big football teams there. The Cincinnati could probably use it, too, on the other side of Trey Hendrickson.
Sam Hubbard retired, and who knows what Trey Hendrickson is going to do.
Yes.
Who knows where he's going to be. Who's the one team that you would look at and say they shouldn't even be evaluating edge rushers?
Well, I don't think the Steelers need to really evaluate it, like, desperately with Highsmith. And then they got Herbig in the background, right, who showed the ability to be a special pass rusher last year. I would take them out of that conversation. You know, Denver with Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, I don't know if they need it either. They'd be another one. Maybe they look at Cooper as they could upgrade for a more special, sexy pass rusher there. You know, but yeah, I think and I hit the teams: the Tampa Bay, the Rams, the Vikings, right? Philadelphia. They don't need anything. They're set up totally. So, yeah, I think it's more the teams that were outside the playoffs that are looking to take that next step. The Bears, right? You look at them and go, they get a pass rusher opposite of Montez Sweat. The team's pretty good and set up in a lot of areas. Whoa, watch out. If the Bears could get a special guy there coming off the edge, they'd be a team that I look at could really need it. The Carolina Panthers, another team that I would say could really need it as they try to take the next step forward in their organization.
Quarterback play, disruption of quarterback play.
That's right.
Those are the two most important things in the NFL right now, and maybe always will be, all due respect to the running backs. It comes down to what your quarterback can do when it needs to be done and what your defensive line, your edge rushers can do to stop the opposing team's quarterback when it needs to do what it's trying to do. All right. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.